Aloha mai kako, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we celebrate the beauty and soul of Hawaiian music and culture. I'm Iliahi and today joining us is a very special guest, my uncle Kaneala Makainai. You can find him at Soulfree, Hawaii. Now, Uncle, we're just going to be asking you a couple questions. Now, how old were you when you started singing?
I was 11 years old,
Okay.
taking a lot of practices, driving a lot of our family members crazy. Used to practice in the house, and next thing you know, I'll be asked to go outside the house and practice.
Oh,
Um,
well, me too.
yeah,
Me too.
you know the feeling, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I think one of the first songs that I learned, it wasn't that song till later, but it was the C A minor F G7 chord. I think
hmm
after a while, towards my high school days, it became Surf from All Creator Boys.
Oh, yeah. That was the first song that I ever learned on the ukulele. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think after 11, push on a year, um, I got into a lot of the besides like reggae music.
hmm
Then you had your Cecilia Capono, Third World Delight, if I'm not mistaken, Kalapana. So there's a bunch of groups back then, including like your oldies from the 50s, 60s, 70s. I really got into this Cupid, draw back your bow. So that kind of songs.
Oh yeah.
I was really into love songs. Then you start hearing Bob Marley,
Yeah.
Gregory Isaac. So UB40. I got into writing my own songs. I want to try. I was inspired to try and write my own music, and I wrote the song "Love." Love. That was actually our second song that came out on the radio.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah. He was
uh,
12 in
yeah,
intermediate school, guys.
it was fun, and you might not know this, but it was Natural Vibrations that
hmm
they were the first ones to help me put music together to that song.
Wow.
Yeah, right in the shack at the house of the Macariola household, and that's where that inspired me to continue to write the love songs and um, Natural Vibrations. I just love what they came up with because we know them personally. We know their background. If they could do it, I felt that we could do it. And
That's
that
awesome.
yeah, that was with Uncle Koa. So Uncle Koa, his previous wife, Antinalani Macariola, she was the one that actually came up with the name. He was the original drummer.
Okay.
So
Wow.
going through them and going to their practices, their gigs, and uh, seeing how they sang songs and how good that made me feel. That's probably why the biggest start that I had to
Mm.
writing love songs.
Wow.
Um, with that being said, fast forward my senior year, I did pretty good in football. I had that leading rusher, I had the President Punahou, the Punahou Presidential Award,
Oh yeah.
and it was okay, go college, or I just got asked if I want to start a band, which is called Soulfree.
So free. Wow.
And with
Cool.
Soulfree, before we even recorded, we would
hmm
practice 2 to 3 times a week for one whole year before we even went to the studio.
Holy.
Yeah, and back then it was lucky because even though I was 12, writing the music or the songs, the chords, the music was a whole different element, which is where Uncle
Gotcha.
Cole then came in, and a bunch of different musicians, and I consider ourselves backyard musicians
hmm
that came in, and every one of them was gifted in what they did. I had, like I said, I wrote a song for even your dad called "Stand
Yeah.
Strong" when he went on his mission, and one thing that always stuck out to me was my message to him was, no matter what you do, the Lord will always be by your side. So just stand strong, be wise. The Lord is on your side, and I wanted him to remember that. But I was heartbroken when I left. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
because me and him, we did everything together growing up. But yeah, I wrote that song for him. Some songs called like "Unconditional Love."
yeah.
The
Wow.
first song that was made on the radio, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, Uncle Davy D.
Oh
He was like
wow.
the program director at the time.
hmm
But it wasn't Love that came out on the radio the first time. It was
Okay.
actually Doctor of Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think back then the dynamics of how we made the music. So
hmm
because they're backyard, but they had different styles. You hear a little bit of like a steel pulse. You hear a little
hmm
bit of Oswald in there. Um, just the dynamics of the music. It was simple, because you're basing your drums. That's the foundation. Then your rhythm is your guitar, and your keyboards, and then you have your
Mhm.
leads and whatnot. But um, one thing that I also had that I didn't bring up yet, it was the dynamics of your anthem. So your anti Kaulana,
And Tony, yeah.
anti Tony, and anti Milani. That's what made up our harmony in the background, and I think that's what set us apart from a whole lot of groups in Hawaii at the time.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, we got to work with so much groups, and we the first album had Chris Hubbard that signed under, so he worked for Sony Hawaii, Chris Hubbard, and the one who produced it was actually Uncle Dave Tusserone. So he's a
Wow.
well known, yeah, he's a well known
Oh
producer
yeah.
and engineer out of Hawaii. So he actually did our first and second album.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that is awesome.
So the first album is it's a different feeling than the second one. So the second album we came out was called Endless Paradise. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, almost every song from the first album got on a radio station.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
just
is amazing.
just about every single one of them got on a radio station, and that's something that you gotta feel blessed about.
Oh yeah.
The second album, unfortunately, by that time when it started coming out, our band kind of went our separate ways. So it never really saw the light of day. But in that time period that we played, like I said, we got to work on a lot of different bands. I got to be on some compilations. We were actually on Baywatch Hawaii. So the song was called Strong Enough. And it's still on YouTube.
Nice.
But if you look on pophits.com, they chose that to be the one that you would remember. And the funny thing about that is I couldn't sing it the way that they wanted me to sing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the producers, who was Glenn Madaris and Carlos, who did Ocean's album, and a number of other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I told them I can't sing it that way. Would you allow me to sing it, take it back to the boys, and sing it the way that I can, make it my
Wow.
style? And they agreed.
Okay.
And when we came back, they liked what they heard. And
That's
again,
awesome.
it's God's blessings, man. Because I'm not supposed to be singing. I'm not no Fiji. I'm not no Glenn. There's a lot of singers that is actually they can sing. I was just blessed in being supported by family growing up, that at family parties that allow me to sing and cheer me on, and it gives you confidence, yeah.
Yeah.
And the more, like I was speaking to you earlier, the more you do it, the more confidence you get. But I always kept that I felt that I always kept that humbleness inside of me, because I knew I wasn't no Fiji when I sang. It just I enjoyed it when people enjoyed our music, and that's why we
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
charge people at Arm in the Lake to play, because I felt, if you enjoy our music, I took it as a big compliment, and I appreciate it. And one thing that I always felt is, when you throw on a luau or a graduation party, anything like that,
Mm.
you throw it on to get the baby or the graduate money in their pockets. But it's
Yeah.
hard when you gotta pay out big money to hire big bands.
Mm-hmm.
And our band, at one point, we had 13 players in the band.
Oh wow.
But I feel we really did it for the love of music, and to share what gift God gave to us. And that's why I wrote most of my songs at that time. Like I said, every single song on there has a connection to somebody or something,
Okay. Yeah.
and that's the fastest songs that I wrote. Other songs that I tried, if I was just trying to make it up and I had no connection for myself,
Mm.
it would be a wash, to be
That's,
honest.
yeah.
And the dynamics that you have to have with your musicians is gotta be on point. You guys gotta all be creative, because I know kind of like musicians that they're very good at what they do, but they can't create. They can mimic, but
Yeah.
they can't create. And I was blessed with guys with creativity, and I think that's what helped our album go pretty far as well. Because what we didn't try and do, we didn't try and copy anybody else's style really
Mm-hmm.
locally. We look at big bands and see what they do, and try to say, hey, I want to try and throw that in. I want to try and throw this in. I think that would work. And on top of that, going to live shows and performing live, then like nowadays I see Bruno Mars and doing it. It's really
Yeah.
important to guys in our band saying that you have to show showmanship. When I
Yeah.
first started, I was standing in front of the microphone, facing my drummer, with my hands in my pocket, and he was like, "Hey, turn around, turn around." I was standing in the front, everybody, and I would look just like this, trying to sing. And when you first start, I think one of the first parties we ever started off with was your Auntie Milani's graduation party.
Oh wow.
And you want to talk about an experience where you have family members over there, but they're talking to cheer you on, but they're still
Mhm.
holding a conversation. Then you have all the little cousins laughing at you on a chair. So I went through ups and downs where band members would say, you know what, I think we gotta cater to everybody and play this kind of music or this kind of genre of music. And for myself, and Uncle will tell you this, stay strong to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. Try not to let anybody really you take whatever they're saying and try and say, you know what, do I want to do that or not? But in the end, stay true to what you're trying to do. And that's what I had to do to be original.
Of
I
course.
didn't really want to follow people. I wanted to
Yeah.
try to be as original as possible.
Wow.
And I couldn't do that if we were doing Kalapana music. If we are doing CNK, one member told me, you know what, if they ask us to sing Honolulu City Lights and we can't do it, we're not going to look too good. I was like, Honolulu City Lights. So yeah, it's experiences like that. And I had to hold strong. So we'd hold strong. We'd come up with the originals
Mhm.
and we'll make our sets. So when we make our sets, one thing that they're telling me was, when you're making your set, make sure you start off pretty strong, right? And then you hold it and you kind of slow it down.
Yeah.
But then as you're slowing it down, you still want to go until you start hitting that peak where you get everybody wanting for more as soon as you come down that roller coaster, I would say,
Yeah.
on a ride. So there's things like that. There's things of me being a Waikiki shell. Nobody knew but me, where I grabbed the mic and I started saying, I want to hear make some noise. And everybody's going crazy. So I got more excited. I
Yeah.
ran across, I tripped over a cable, and I made it like I was skanking. But I was this close to falling down and doing a judo roll. But nobody else knew it. Nobody else knew it. It's things like that, or other concerts or other memories I would have was when we would play, everybody moved to the left or right, and I would call
Mhm.
this term called wheel out. Wheel out means everybody bring down the music, so we would
Yeah.
bum 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 until they bring it to a stop. And then what they would do is I would switch. I would go to the bass. The bass player would come up. He would sing. Everybody would move instruments,
Yeah.
and then
Wow.
the guy would run in again. That means come back in, and they would play. Everybody would play, and everybody was like, "What just happened?" So
Yeah.
it's just showmanship. So there's memories like that. There's so much different memories. We don't have enough cloud space to say what I experienced, and I'm sure that there's tons of musicians that would have more experiences than what I had. But for myself, every single gig that I did, every
Mhm.
single party I played at, I made it. That was my last one I will ever play, and I would try to give in front of one or 1,000, be the same person, perform like there's no tomorrow, like this is your last gig, and always try to be yourself, meaning you have such a good personality already. Don't ever lose
Thank you.
that, because there is musicians that I see
Mhm.
over time, and they earned it. But I think for our family, we always try to keep that humbleness, because there's always
Definitely.
somebody better. And when this music is done, at the end, you want to be able to tell people hi, and they're gonna tell you hi back, and they're like, "Oh, this guy came big at it." And yeah, I mean things like that. Um, I think for now, I think I'm exhausted on this one. What was the next question?
While you were growing up, there were so many influences and different genres of music that were very popular, obviously, at the time. But who would you say was your biggest influence growing up?
The biggest influence, not a single person, is more of family. Both sides.
Wow.
Everybody was really heavy into Hawaiian music. So
Yeah.
you are taking over, or you're taking on what the family loves to do. Your tutu lady had the ukulele inside their back room or her bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
so we'd always go over there. And at first, hey, what you doing? Don't touch that. But after a while, when you start getting older, oh, it's in our back. So you go and we continue to practice. And I think the greatest honor I had was to play with family, and some of the family's not even here anymore. But when I had uncles asking me, "Hey, what do you say? Come here." could play. I thought like, oh, I made it to the big time. To me, that was professionals already. And
No,
those
yeah.
uncles could play for the longest time. Those aunties, yeah, Tutu lady had a beautiful voice, such a beautiful voice, and I miss hearing that voice. And the only place I can actually hear it now is in my heart and in my mind, because we didn't have that much. We didn't have phones where you can easily access something to
Mm-hmm.
film things like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't that you'd have to bring out a camera that your Tutu man would have to bring out on his shoulder or the small ones. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, it takes like a big production to do that, right? Nowadays, you just
Mm-hmm.
put your phone on and
Hit
it's right
record.
there. It's
Yeah.
recording. I wish we had that, but it's memories like this that we're making that nobody can ever take away from you. And I think for me, the biggest influences was our family members to watch them do it and always encourage, never discourage, always speak life. Like I said, the biggest thing they would tell me is, hey, go practice outside a little while. But when you go to parties, they like you be the ones who get up there and show everybody what you
Oh,
got.
yeah.
And at that time, I think was the Opihi Man and Call Creative Boys. That was the in thing. So
Yeah.
my hands would just go, and uncles like Uncle Jesse, Auntie Mai's dad, would go, hey, slow him down. Because
Hmm.
he's more into like the Peter Moon style. Peter Moon.
Yeah.
The Peter Moon band was so awesome. Those guys, the Sunday Manoa, I mean, that's originality. The Pahinui brothers, like those types of groups, Israel Makaha Sans. That's what I'm yearning for nowadays. I still go back and listen to that music on the way down here from Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
Right on.
Just listening to that type of music, and now I'm starting to listen to yours. You're bringing it back,
Thank you.
yeah. What is our next question?
Is there an instrument that you don't play that you wish you could?
The only one that I'm really good at is ukulele, and
Okay. Yeah.
and ukulele. I mean, maybe a C. I'm not no A. I'm C class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish I could play the bass really good, where I can play a song maybe. I wish I could play the drums,
Okay. Yeah.
the keyboards, the piano. When you were younger and you was playing that Beauty and the Beast song, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I remember. Things like that. I remember everything you guys do.
Thank
But
you.
that I wish I could do things like that. I could write songs with me and that humble ukulele. But when you get talented musicians that can actually be creative,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it counted for me. When you could have family that could sing, because like I said, your aunties, they can sing.
Oh, yeah.
Me, maybe C minus, C minus D plus, maybe. Just people is crazy enough to think that, hey, I like your song, but they didn't say I like your singing, but I like your song. So that's another thing that the way that I prayed on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's extra content right there. I prayed on a lot of things that I
Right
did
on.
because people are like, ooh, when I see people's faces, I know what that means. Like you start singing, like, ooh, oh, sound good. Like, oh yeah, yeah.
I
But
don't know.
I knew if I tried to sing somebody else's song, you can get judged right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
if I could write and sing my own songs,
It's whatever you want to make it, you know?
I could sound however I wanted to sound.
Yeah.
And I think when the music got pushed and the music sounded good, the harmony sounded good, the lyrics was easy enough for people to sing,
Mm-hmm.
and it caught on at that one time. It caught on. I think that's where I was blessed, and I asked God, like, hey, if you can use me as a vessel, and that's on my first album. Uh, when you grow up, and I'm sure in church you just hear hymns and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, right? I was like, oh man, this hymn again. So I would write songs that I thought could connect our generation at the time
Mm-hmm.
to God.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, there were stories that I heard that it stands strong, connected to people.
Mm-hmm. Right
Trials and
on.
tribulations, connected to
Yeah.
people. A song called I and I, connected to people. And when I sang even at clubs, like at one time, Pipeline Cafe was one of the bigger places, and I would always say, you know, we give praise to God, praise to Jesus, and nobody had nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, if we can get these guys to listen to that music, and it's almost like praise and worship music
Yeah.
in my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was things like that.
Okay, so now we're gonna do 5 rapid fire questions. First one is, what is your favorite color?
Since Auntie's one is yellow, mine's one is yellow too.
Okay. What's your dream vacation?
Disneyland, of course.
Yeah. How many?
When the last time you went to Disney?
Like, last year.
So,
Yeah.
so you collect ears?
We got some from Costco.
High five! So Uncle them, Auntie, your cousin Amber, they get about 50 plus ears. Yeah, they collect ears.
Wow.
I collect the magic bands. That's something I
There you go.
started. And another thing that we really got into now is starting to collect pins. So Disney
The pins,
pins.
yeah.
It's fun. Like I said, I think growing up, we went to Disney. I think one time. I think we were 10. We were about 10 years old,
Wow.
and we took a big family trip over there, all our cousins and whatnot. So
Oh,
I highly
fun.
remembered it. And I'm not gonna lie, Kaneala Elementary students, my classmates, some of you guys remember, but some of you have promised me Disney ears when you guys went. You know, the Mickey Mouse hat and the ears
Yeah.
with my name on the
Yeah.
back. And when they came, they used to change subjects real fast. And before, we used to like the Disney Channel used to come on
Mhm.
once in a great while, unless you had on Scrambler.
What?
Even though we didn't partake in that, but that's the only time you get to see Disney, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays you get Disney Channel, Disney this, Disney that. Back in the day, it didn't. So I think when he first started going, it was right around 2010 when I first got into Hawaiian Electric, and we finally went. From that time on, we would go about 3, maybe 4 times a year.
Wow. Oh, that's nice.
I mean, you really get creative because
Mhm.
you look for the deals. So it wouldn't be the time that everybody else would go, but whenever there was a low impact or the slow season, that's when we would go. We would stay with family.
There we
We would
go.
have family pick us up. So you save money as much as you can. Your dad then taught us something. As much as I taught on you about Disney, your mom made us sandwiches and drinks.
Yeah.
And from that point on, we started doing
Remember
the same
that.
thing. So, there's ways of cutting costs, but Disney was something that I wanted to do for the longest time. And when we finally got to do it, I was in my 30s when we really got to do it. And since then, I didn't stop until recently, now that the prices of everything went up,
Oh yeah.
including now they changed the Genie Pass again to another type of fast pass. And
Yeah.
it costs $1 million a day to go. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
things like that. But yeah. Okay, what is the next one that you remember?
How many kids do you have? I know
3.
this already though.
3 kids only. And one of them is named after L.O.V. Love, is Justice Love. And I know a bunch of you guys out there who know J Love with his J Love special.
Okay, last question. How long have you been married for?
Since 2003. So
Wow.
yeah, a long time. Don't make me count it. I was never good at math. But yeah, since 2003. Since Justice was 3 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on this channel again. And mahalo nui loa for watching. And
Follow
we'll see you
her.
guys next time.
Follow her.
Sometimes in life I really stumble, but you, my friend, are always humble. Through thick and thin, you're always there. It's good to know that someone cares, so stand strong, be wise. You have the Lord on your side.